You're listening to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is the program called The Wonderful World of Wardini Books, and as always, it's our pleasure to have in the studio the wonderful Lou from Wardini Books in Havelock North. How you going, Lou?
Really well, Ken.
Crikey, it's been a scorcher, hasn't it?
It's been a stinker.
As we record this program, it's boiling hot, but the forecast for the next week is temperature's about 34 degrees.
Yeah, that's crazy business. Nobody's going outside in that.
Thank God for air conditioning. Whoever invented it should get a Nobel Prize.
Yeah. Probably prevented a few murders.
Yeah, that's right. What do you got for us this week?
We've got this beautiful picture book called Three.
Yes.
This is about a little scruffy dog with 3 legs. So
I love
that's
the
why it's
drawing.
called Three.
Yeah.
And he is the sunniest personality I've ever met in a book. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, off he goes down the road. The sun was shining, he was warm. If it rained all day, he felt clean, and his waggly tail kept him well fed. And you think, oh, okay. So occasionally he looks for a home and for someone to love. He's a homeless 3-legged puppy.
No one wants him.
Gosh.
Nobody's child.
But he just potters along wherever his nose leads him. And he looks at the 6 legs, who are the ants.
Yes.
And he looks at the 8 legs, which are what, Ken?
Yes, spiders.
The spiders, miss.
Yes, that's right.
And he was thankful that he didn't have more legs than he could count, or longer legs than he needed, like the police horse. So we go on like this, and one day he wanders well off the beaten track. In fact, where's that bit actually? He was happy he didn't have 4 legs. If 3 had 4 legs, he might be a chair. Chairs didn't go anywhere, and the 2 legs put their bottoms on them. So that's his state of mind. But anyway, he potters off into the country, and he meets a 4-leg with 2 spikes on his head, and a winged 2-leg that laid eggs. So that's his view of the world. But eventually he meets a little girl called Fern, and they just hit it off completely.
How nice is
and
that?
so basically what's going to happen is he finds his home, plays in the garden with her. They've got a 1-legged creature, which is mum doing yoga, and a 12-legged creature, which is the baby brother. And they adopt him, and they keep him.
Happy ending.
And it's just the most wonderful thing. So Fern is the little girl, and she gives him a place to sleep, and they always have ice cream and pancakes for breakfast on a Saturday. And Fern was thankful for her new friend, and Three was thankful for everything, because he is, isn't he? Because he's just a lovely dog.
Life.
And they are.
I love happy endings.
And dogs don't overthink it. I think there's a real life lesson in there.
That's right, and they say that if you like dogs and dogs like you, you're made up.
Yes.
Do you like dogs?
I love them.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm slightly obsessed with doggos.
Anyway, our next book is called Jasper and Scruff.
There's a dog in it. So this is that one was by Stephen Michael King, 3. I tend to forget the authors, don't I, which is terrible. So Jasper and Scruff by Nicola Colton, and this is a chapter book for children. Probably you could read it to them when they're about 3 or 4, and they'd really love it, but to read by themselves they'd probably have to be about 6, 5 or 6. Just
it's a real book.
It's a proper chapter book.
Yes.
And just past that first stage where you're doing little words and you're progressing a bit. So in the first book of Jasper and Scruff, Jasper is a very refined cat, and he likes good dinners and bow ties, and he wants to be in like the Aristocats club or something. And so he invites them all round, and he's getting dinner prepared, and he's going out doing the shopping, and he meets this scruffy little puppy that just wants to play with him. So he's trying to shrug him off, and eventually he says, well, we'll go and play hide and seek, and of course, well, you hide, and then, da-da-da-da. And eventually he goes home and he's preparing dinner, and there's a ring at the doorbell, and he's like, oh, I've got an early guest, but no, it's Scruff, and he's found him, and he's like, oh, you're really good at this game.
Yes.
So he hides Scruff away, and then all the posh cats come round, but they are just so horrible. They're really hoity-toity, snooty cats. And Scruff ruins the dinner party, but by then Jasper's completely over them. He doesn't want to be part of their gang anymore, their club. And it's about then the friendship that develops between the snooty cat, Jasper. Well, he's not that snooty, he likes the finer things in life, and the scruffy little puppy. And in book 2, Hunt for the Golden Bone, they open a bookshop.
I bet you can't wait for that one to come along.
I know.
Speaking of cats, do you remember TC, Top Cat?
TC!
And Officer Dibble?
Yeah.
Good on
that
you.
was great, wasn't it?
It was.
It was great. Top Cat.
And our last book that we're going to look at is The High Fire.
High Fire by Owen Colfer. Owen Colfer normally writes for children. He wrote Artemis Fowl, which has been recently turned into a movie, I think, about a young criminal genius. But this one is a grown-up one, but he's stayed with the sort of fantasy element of things. So this is set in the Florida swamps, present day. It's really swampy. There's a young lad called Squib, and he gets into trouble a little bit. He's street smart. He's a good boy. He just wants to please his mama. But gets into a bit of trouble, but he gets an apprenticeship with the local moonshine runner, as you do, because they're steering the little boats up and down, and he sees something that he shouldn't see, and that is something that the local crooked constable is up to.
Right.
And so that puts him in some considerable danger. And then something else happens to him, and turns out that in the swamp there is the last of its kind living in the swamp, which is a dragon. Yeah, so that's Lord Highfire.
So it's like a young adult's book.
No, it's not, because it's really violent and swearing.
So it's like a young adult's book.
It's a grown-up book for sure. Is that what you said?
No, I thought the way you were talking about it, that it's a young kid and there's a dragon and it must be designed for younger people. No,
not at all. No, I mean, if you were sort of 16, 17, you could probably read it, but it's just so much fun because the dragon's hiding out in the swamp, and he's got one person with whom he's the one person he trusts who does his shopping and things like that for him. But he's got Netflix, so he's okay. He's got a bit of an obsession with the film Flashdance, and he's slightly depressed because he is the last of his kind. He's got no lady friends, and he drinks quite a bit. So it's just really good fun, and it's about then the connection that forms between Highfire and Squib, and how they're gonna get the
dirty cop.
Yeah, the cop. So
sounds like a fabulous one. Out of 10, what would you give that book?
Oh, for a book of its kind, I laughed and laughed, and it had enough of the action, adventure, crimey sort of thing to make it a real good drama as well. So 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. It doesn't get any better than that. No, you do not. That's right. Just for my listeners, before I let you get back to work, we want to come and see you at your 2 stores. Where are you guys?
16 Tomato Road, Havelock North, and 44 Hastings Street, Napier.
Open 7 days a week?
Yes.
Good on you. You've got all the media platforms as well.
All of the good ones.
As well as our pleasure. You look after yourself. Talk to the same time, same place next time.
Cheers, Ken.